Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be focusing on the grand plan to develop the Sinai Peninsula. This is in light of the President's instruction to develop the Bardawi Lake project, part of a bigger plan to achieve the Sustainable Development Egypt's vision for 2030. But before we start discussing this very important topic of development, let's check out some of the stories making the news today. And we'll start off with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi asserting today that the armed forces picks out its men among thousands of applicants in accordance with the latest scientific methods and in the frame of transparency and impartiality. During the President's inspection of the military college headquarters to witness oral tests for military colleges and institutions, the President said the armed forces men are chosen from all sectors of society through scientific, health, psychological and sports examinations. He reiterated that the students of military colleges and institutions with their colleagues of civil universities are Egypt's hope for a better future to confront dangers and challenges. President al-Sisi instructed to exert the utmost efforts in forming generations well aware of their nation's needs. Upon his arrival, the President was received by Minister of Defense Mohammed Zaki and Army Chief of Staff Mohammed Fareed. The head of state discussed with applying students a number of issues at the national, regional and international levels. Also, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli today presented a detailed report to the Parliament wrapping up the government's achievements in the years 2018 to 2020. Now, in his detailed report entitled "Egypt is Moving Ahead," the Prime Minister thanked the people for shouldering the burdens associated with carrying out the economic reform program. Madbouli explained that the government had put an action plan based on the presidential assignment of June 2018. He said the coronavirus pandemic posed a threat for many successful steps already taken, but the political leadership's determination was a key driver for the completion of the government's program. The report praised the high readiness of the armed forces in maintaining Egypt's national security, as well as the efforts by the Interior Ministry. It detailed Egypt's foreign policy achievements, including the successful chairmanship of the African Union and the Group of 77 plus China. Domestic achievements featured high in the report, including efforts to enhance water security, secure additional energy resources, supply households with natural gas, convert cars to using gas, as well as successes in the fields of education and health. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli also presided over the Nile Water Higher Committee meeting today, where they discussed the latest development concerning the Renaissance Dam file. The meeting came ahead of preparations for the six-way meeting between irrigation and foreign ministers of Egypt, Sudan and Ethiopia, hosted by South Africa on Thursday. The scheduled talks are to discuss the mechanism of resuming dialogue and negotiations among the three countries in a bid to reach an agreement to fill and operate the dam according to the resolutions of the African Summit being held on July 21st. These were the main stories making the news today, but now let's check out this report regarding the President reiterating and stressing on the importance of implementing the Bardawi Lake Development Project in northern Sinai, and we'll be right back.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has given his instructions to integrate the Bardawi Lakes Development Project within the general strategic framework of the development of Sinai. President al-Sisi also stressed that all parties should provide all the success factors for the project, especially technical studies and management competence, to stabilize the level of production and achieve the desired development results of the project. This came during the President's meeting with the Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Oil and Mineral Resources Tariq al-Mullah, Minister of Agriculture and Land Reclamation Sayyid al-Qusayr, and Commander of the Naval Forces Lieutenant General Ahmed Khalid. The meeting dealt with following up on the current and future projects of Demi Company in Egypt, as well as the general plan for the development of the Lake Bardawil in North Sinai. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassam Radi said the meeting reviewed the general plan of the project, which aims to exploit the fisheries in Lake Bardawil and develop its forms of aspects, which are formulated in partnership with the largest international expertise offices, as well as presenting the investment returns expected from the project, given the unique location of Bardawil Lake on the Mediterranean and its advantages. He also added that the meeting reviewed the current and future projects being undertaken by the Belgium Demi Group, a leading company in the field of dredging and land reclamation. According to Radi, the project will provide job opportunities and enhance food security, as well as restore the environmental balance of the lake and improve Egypt's water quality. The meeting tackled on cooperation with the Demi Group to establish clean energy generation stations in Egypt using new and renewable energy sources. This would maximize their use alongside traditional energy sources, whilst also exploiting Egypt's advanced power generation infrastructure, which includes the world's largest solar energy station in Aswan, as well as wind power plants in the Red Sea area. In Sinai, several seawater designation plants were also built to provide water that serves development purposes and prepares the area to receive new residents.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and now we're joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Hello, Mr. Ambassador, can you hear us?
Yes, good evening, how are you?
I'm very well, sir. Your Excellency, now, development of Northern Sinai has been a project high on the agenda of the Egyptian government and the presidency, and quite recently the president stressed on implementing the Bardawil Lake Development Project. So far, how would you rate the development and the progression that is taking place in Northern Sinai?
Good news, because Sinai is one of the marginalized areas in Egypt where we have to concentrate on development. Sinai is a very important part of Egypt. It's our eastern border. It is as big as 3 times one of our neighbors' countries. It has a lot of possibilities and a good future, in our opinion. Then, if we are trying to expand our size concerning the cities, we need more and more places to live. Egypt is living only on 7-8% of its size, so Sinai is a very good occasion for this. Also, Sinai now is the other side of the Suez Canal, where we are establishing a free industrial zone. We are asking everybody to come and to invest there. Sinai also is one of the largest areas in Egypt, attracting tourists. Sharm el-Sheikh and Nuweiba, Dahab, Taba, very dear places to our heart. We paid a lot in order to restore it. Now, we have almost half a century of peace, and it is time really to go and stress on this area. Sinai, Red Sea, western side of Egypt near Alexandria, west of Alexandria, all the upper Egypt, all these places shouldn't be any more marginalized, and to create more projects, more jobs for our coming generation in order to make our life and its quality much better than before.
Yes. Your Excellency, the Sinai Peninsula and Northern Sinai has been quite known for its touristic activities and prowess. Now, transforming Sinai not just for the tourism sector, but also using it to boost the Egyptian domestic production, be it through providing more services, having more agricultural land, having more fisheries, and working on the fish production in Egypt. How long do you estimate this development process would take?
We are already there. The water of the River Nile already crossed the Suez Canal, going to Sinai, and it is since decades we are trying to do this. Now, with the help and with the direct command of our president. I think it will take a good push in order to minimize the time needed for that. So, as you rightly said, it's not only tourism, although people like myself, I went to Al Arish on the north, Sharm el-Sheikh on the south, and in the middle, of course, there are many other places, Taban, Weir, Adab, and the industry of tourism will create another industry, such as fishery, such as agriculture, and of course, Sinai with the water of the River Nile, or its own water coming from the land itself, so it can satisfy itself with all the water needed. Also in industry, if we use the industrial free zone east of Suez Canal, this will attract foreign direct investment. This means more production on industry. I hope very soon we hear good news concerning the car industry or the buses industry. Many industries are welcome there. And the good news that Egypt now is becoming the most attractive country in our region for foreign direct investment. But I am not still 100% satisfied. We have to be much better in the banking system, in transport. Thank God that we are much better in electricity. We are going to export electric power, gas power, and oil power. This will be through Sinai, because as you well know that one day we were giving electricity to Beirut. This will take place through Sinai and our eastern part of Egypt. The ideas are a lot, and the sky is the limit there. So I hope that also our mass media will always present these projects in order to attract Egyptians to go there, to attract Egyptian investors to invest in this area. This is what we need also.
Yes. Your Excellency, now the President specifically reiterated the importance of working on the Bardawi Lake development plan, the project. Now, what can the Bardawi Lake development do to Northern Sinai and Egypt as a whole? Because there's been a lot of talk regarding agriculture, land reclamation there, the fisheries, and working on the seafood and the seafood production for Egypt, and maybe even exporting it. How integral is the Bardawi Lake development project for the Egyptian economy?
Bardawi is ahead of all our plans, because since a couple of decades we are exporting the production, the fishery production, to Europe. And thank God, according to the European plan, it is fitting all the specifications for Europe to import fish, because it's not easy to export to Europe the fishery products, because they have their specifications. And thank God that we meet all these specifications. Now we need to enlarge these efforts, and the Bardawi, of course, it's a huge project. We can enlarge this, we can enlarge other means to produce more and more fishery, either for the Arab world, for Europe, for Egypt, because now we need much more to cover the food security in our own country.
Mr. Ambassador, now you spoke about not being 100% satisfied with the level of foreign investments already in Northern Sinai and Sinai Peninsula. Now, which countries do you see that Egypt would have more cooperation and would be able to receive more investments from? Because Saudi Arabia comes to mind, since it's the closest to the Red Sea and the Sinai Peninsula. Which countries do you feel would be most interested in investing in Northern Sinai?
According to the situation now, the Arabs and Europe are our main investment partners. And I think Sinai would fit the Gulf states more than Europe, because it's almost the same climate and the same region. So Europe may come also at the Suez Canal free industrial zone to produce more and more industrial products. But the success recently, it was China. We succeed to invite China to come and to help us either to invest in Sinai and in other places. Russia is a little bit engaged in its internal problems, but we hope that they come back to be one of our main partners. Don't forget that Eastern Europe and Russia also were our main trade partner. We are tackling this the markets in order to restore it again. It was covering something like 60% of our foreign trade, and it dropped, and now EU and Western Europe is our main trade partner there. We have traditional markets, and we can put ourselves again in those markets in order to expand our export. This means attracting foreign investment. This means to create more and more jobs, and this will feed our national income, of course.
Mm-hmm. Ambassador Bayoumi, now when you speak of foreign investors and different countries, be it the Gulf Arab countries, Eastern Europe, and maybe even China as well, now the whole world is going through the coronavirus pandemic, and all the economies are being hard hit, including the multinational companies. Would that be an optimum time for the international companies to actually invest in Egypt, or do you think that maybe the pandemic would actually slow things a little bit down?
I hope that the disease will be something belong to the history. I hope that we can conquer it as soon as possible. Of course, we have another wave which is much stronger, but there is also some good news about discovering how to treat it. Mm-hmm. Hope to, because in my generation we lived years like that when the cholera was attacking our country in the 40s, last century. So we have to work, hoping, inshallah, that this will be behind our back, and we have to work as if and to make ourselves ready whenever the whole international market is ready to expand. Mm-hmm. Of course, everybody is suffering, whether in Europe, in America, and in Asia. But the good news is that, according to the estimation of the International Monetary Fund, that Egypt will be one of very few countries will continue growing positively. Mm-hmm. This is good news, but it means it should encourage us to work more, because we are a very young country. We have the young generation is much bigger percentage of our population, and we need to make them work more. We need them to prepare for the coming generation. We give birth to something like 2 million children a year. This is a big challenge. We have to meet it.
Mm-hmm. Your Excellency, now you spoke of energy and the use of energy for Egypt, and also maybe even exporting it. Now, also talking about foreign investors, now the Belgian company DEMI, the President has reviewed with DEMI the plan they have for really working on renewable energy, establishing renewable energy plants here in Egypt. How much is Egypt focusing on renewable energy, part of its plan to achieve the sustainable development for 2030?
We made last year a good development there and a good story of success when we convinced our partners in Europe to consider Egypt the center for trade of energy. Energy here, it is oil, it is gas, it is electricity. We are connecting the electric net from Baghdad in the far east of the Arab world to Casablanca in the far west. And of course, you were following what was happening between Egypt and Greece and Cyprus. Now we are starting a project to send our electricity through the Mediterranean to Greece directly in order to sell our electricity from Baghdad to Rabat. Also, we shall connect with Sudan. We are connecting now with Sudan, with Congo, with Tanzania, and I hope that Ethiopia will take this chance in order to sell their electricity, the surplus of their electricity, to connect themselves with the Egyptian net. So we shall sell electricity, oil and gas. Also, we are importing gas in order to liquidate it in Damietta and Rashid. This will be a sort of a huge value-added industry in Egypt. We have it already, and we shall make good use of it.
Yes. Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, the former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be off to a short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away.
سينا، أرض الفيروز والكنوز الأثرية والمعالم السياحية الجميلة، درة التاج على جبين الوطن. عدى عليها الزمن، مرت عليها المحن، وبقوة جيشنا ووحدة شعبنا انتصرت سينا. وآن الأوان لعبور جديد يرجع ليها مجدها ويفتح ليها طريق الأمل.
لما كنا بنتكلم على سينا وتصدينا للإرهاب اللي موجود، مش منعنا ومش هيمنعنا إن احنا نعمل تنمية حقيقية في سينا. قد يكون جهدنا فيها زيادة شوية عن بقية المناطق، ولكن عشان أهميتها الاستراتيجية. أنا بس حبينا إن احنا نبقى منتبهين قوي لده، ويبقى الكلام ده حاضر عندنا كلنا كمصريين، إن احنا بلدنا وبنخلي بالنا منها وهنحافظ عليها ومحدش هيقدر ياخدها مننا.
كانت رؤية القيادة السياسية بضرورة ربط سينا بالوادي والدلتا عن طريق منظومة أنفاق وكباري وطرق وإنشاء مدن سكنية وتجمعات عمرانية وبنية تحتية ومناطق لوجستية. استراتيجية تنموية كاملة بتغير شكل الحياة على كل شبر في سينا. والنهاردة اتولد على أرضها 17 تجمع عمراني جديد بيضم 1181 بيت بدوي في شمال وجنوب ووسط سينا. وده غير تأهيل 5 فدادين لكل أسرة سيناوية ضمن مشروع واعد أنفقت عليه الدولة حوالي 2 مليار جنيه. وفي المشروع القومي للطرق وعلى أرض سينا انتهينا من المرحلة الثانية من طريق النفق رأس النقب بطول 111 كيلومتر، وبكده وصل إجمالي طول الطريق في المرحلتين الأولى والثانية إلى 231 كيلومتر بعرض 49 متر مع 3 حارة مرورية لكل اتجاه، وبتكلفة مالية بلغت 3 مليار و220 مليون جنيه. ولو اتنقلنا لوسط سينا هنعرف حجم القيمة المضافة اللي بيقدمها مطار البردويل في مجال التجارة البينية والاستثمار. مطار دولي على مساحة 11 كيلو متر مربع، ممر رئيسي بطول 3350 متر وعرض 60 متر، وصالة وصول ركاب بتستوعب 300 راكب في الساعة. بنتنقل لجنوب سيناء وبنكمل مشوارنا في رحلة التنمية، ومع وصولنا لمدينة الطور بنشوف النقلة الحضارية في مجمل مشروعات البنية التحتية، ومنها المرحلة الأولى من محطة معالجة الصرف الصحي بطاقة 10,000 متر مكعب في اليوم. وفي شمال سيناء نجحنا في إيجاد مصادر جديدة في مياه الشرب بإنشاء محطة تحلية مياه البحر في منطقة أبو صقل في العريش بطاقة 10,000 متر مكعب في اليوم، مع إنشاء مأخذ مياه بطاقة 45,000 متر مكعب في اليوم لخدمة مناطق الريسة وكرم بونجيلة. ده كمان غير إنشاء محطة تحلية في الشيخ زويد بطاقة 5,000 متر مكعب في اليوم، ومأخذ بحري بطاقة 30,000 متر مكعب في اليوم. واستمر العمل في شمال سيناء وبنينا محطة رفع مياه في كرم أبونجيلة بطاقة 7,000 متر مكعب في اليوم. ومن جديد الدولة بتعيد اكتشاف كنوز الحضارة المصرية مع تعاظم الاهتمام بالمواقع الأثرية والمتاحف. وفي يوم واحد مصر بتفتتح 3 متاحف متميزة في 3 محافظات مختلفة: متحف شرم الشيخ أو المتحف للآثار بالمدينة المعروفة عالمياً مدينة السلام، والمقام على مساحة 192 ألف متر مربع، منها 5,000 متر مربع للعرض المتحفي، وبيضم 5,200 قطعة أثرية من مختلف حقب الحضارة المصرية داخل 3 قاعات عرض متحفي. وبكده المتحف بيكون مركز إشعاع ثقافي وحضاري وملتقى للحضارات الإنسانية وحلقة وصل بين السياحة الترفيهية والسياحة الثقافية. وكأن ماضينا البعيد بيتولد من جديد داخل نوافذ عرض متحفية بتكشف للدنيا كنوز مصر الفريدة والمتنوعة. اهتمام الدولة بالآثار شمل كل المحافظات، ومنها محافظة كفر الشيخ، واللي انتهينا على أرضها من إنشاء أول متحف للآثار عشان يكون جدير بتاريخ المحافظة العريق على مساحة 6,800 متر مربع، وبيعرض فيه 735 قطعة أثرية فريدة من العصور الفرعونية واليونانية والرومانية. المتحف بيعرض لنا تاريخ العلوم خلال العصور التاريخية، وفوق كل ده بيضم العديد من الآثار المستخرجة من حفاير تل الفراعين. ده غير كمان إنه بيكشف عن روعة تراثنا الإسلامي لقربه من مدينة فوة المعروفة بتاريخها الطويل وطابعها المتميز، وكمان بيعرض آثار مسيحية رائعة. وتفضل القاهرة العامرة منورة بأثرها ومحروسة بناسها. القاهرة متحف حضاري كبير بيفتح أبوابه للعالم كله هنا في قلب حي بولاق أبو العلا. انتهينا من مشروع تطوير متحف المركبات الملكية، واحد من أقدم المتاحف النوعية على مستوى العالم، واللي أقيم على مساحة إجمالية بلغت 6,175 متر مربع، منها 2,700 متر مربع للعرض المتحفي. بيروي لنا تاريخ المركبات الملكية في مصر خلال العصر الحديث، واللي تم استخدامها في أغراض التنقل والاحتفالات الهامة والرسمية. الحضارة مش مجرد ماضي عدى وفات، الحضارة في دمنا على كل شبر في أرضنا. بنواصل العمل وعلى خطى الأجداد بنبني لولادنا طريق الأمل.
Sinai, where 450,000 residents currently live, has largely been overlooked in the development equation compared to big cities, with no drinking water, industrial and commercial activities, or consistent electricity access. However, this is recently being tackled and prioritized by the state through various projects that aim to increase access to drinking water and developing more agricultural communities. The developmental projects currently taking place in North Sinai includes the water desalination plant of the eastern Port Said, as well as the Bahr al-Ba'ar water drainage system. There is a big significance of achieving sustainability and environmental protection, as the desalination plant came to meet the increasing demand for drinking water for commercial and industrial activities in the city, with the production capacity of 150,000 cubic meters, and they can be increased to 250,000 cubic meters a day. The Bahr al-Ba'ar water drainage system is also consistent with the Sustainable Development Goals, mainly providing clean water, building sustainable cities and communities, the protection of marine and coastal ecosystems in a sustainable manner, against pollution, and creating fruitful partnership and cooperation at the international level. It has the capacity of 5 million cubic meters a day and can reclaim 400,000 acres of the Sinai Peninsula, and also aim to preserve the environment by protecting its lake and reducing water losses for agricultural development. This will make a great impact in agricultural development in North Sinai, as we're talking about 400,000 fadans and 100,000 job opportunities that can help sustain the families.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, starting our discussion with Mr. Allam. Mr. Allam, first of all, talking about the development of the Sinai Peninsula. Now, the peninsula has been going through a lot of changes. Already a lot of development and work has been done for Sinai that exceeded 600 billion pounds in development. Now, what kind of change are we witnessing right now, and what kind of change do we expect a result at the end of the development of the Sinai Peninsula?
Okay. Since 2014, they started to make a huge progress in Sinai, trying to link between east and west Suez Canal. There is a huge performance and development in the area. Actually, it's in the industrial, in the agriculture, in the infrastructure, in water supply, housing. There is 2 or 3 new airports has been developed. 2 actually new, and 1 has been rehabilitated, and there is 2 new cities, okay, new Rafah and new Birdwheel, I think, okay, has been established and going on in the work to do it, okay. As a matter of fact, this is a good really investment in this area, especially it was before as a desert and nothing happened, really happened with this area. Okay, so we hope there is, more than this also, there is a huge requirements for labor force. Okay, so there is many opportunity for people to work. So this is really a good push for the area to more projects. As I read about it, it is around 300 new projects, 50% of them done, and in the pipeline is more 50%, and we're talking about 200 billion Egyptian pound investment in this area, which is really good for the whole country.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Allam, now you've mentioned the Birdwheel as one of the areas being developed in Sinai, and the President actually quite recently reiterated the importance of the Birdwheel Lake development project. Now, not a lot of people know what sort of potential this lake has, and the development could have not just on northern Sinai, but also the Egyptian economy as a whole. What is the significance and the potential that the Bardawil Lake project has that could benefit all Egyptians?
As Bardawil Lake, actually, it is a good source for fishing, okay, and fishing industries, and one of the major source of protein is the fish, okay. So you can cover the local part of the local market. You can make an export, okay, of this lake, and actually, if there is a sort of mechanic works, okay, not small boats or something like this, definitely it will be helpful, okay. And as I remember, there is also small farms for fishing, okay, started already, and they producing a good product, okay, so it will help locally and internationally.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Allam, now talking about seafood and fishing in Egypt. Now, Egypt is surrounded by two seas, the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, and it has the Nile River as well. Yet it was said that we are importing almost 90%, if not even more, of the seafood. And that was because we didn't have a proper connection between the Red Sea and the Delta and Cairo and the northern coast, for instance. But through working on infrastructure, tunnels connecting the Red Sea and Sinai to Cairo has really worked on reducing such a percentage. Now, as you've mentioned, the importance of working on the Bardawil Lake could be mainly in fishing. Do you feel that we can actually reach a level when we will be self-sufficient in terms of seafood, or do you think we'll still be importing some and exporting?
Okay. If we relied on new or proper way of fishing, okay, definitely we can cover our needs, okay. The problem is most of the fishers here in Egypt are small boats or something between small boats, and there is no official fleet, okay, to make the fishing or making the processing overfishing, okay, because sometimes shipments can make it cleaned, packed or something like this. So we need definitely for the coming period to enhance the way of producing fish, that maybe we have to invest in some good fleet or ships are like this, because we need it.
Yes.
Okay. And besides this, to have more education about not to fish in some seasons, okay, when it is the breeds only.
Yes,
okay.
Definitely. Mr. Allam, now you also mentioned the agricultural potential the northern Sinai has in Sinai Peninsula as a whole. Now, the government is already taking on a 400,000 acre land reclamation and agricultural projects within the Sinai Peninsula. How far can this affect Egypt's food security?
It is actually more and more for efficiency and for co-efficiency, for everything, for local and export also. Especially that Sinai has some good fruits type, okay, that all over the world they like it, okay. And meanwhile, there is also greenhouses, covered areas of these hectares, okay, to produce regular vegetables that seasonal, like whatever, green ones, okay. So if you work on both way, reclaimed lands, regular reclaimed lands and greenhouses, okay, definitely we'll have a good opportunity to cover our needs and also to export. Actually, we export a good fruit and vegetables among many years ago, but that maybe we can increase it tremendously.
Yes. Mr. Allam, you've also earlier mentioned that all of these projects pose great opportunities and offer great opportunities, job opportunities for the communities there. Now, the President has already worked tirelessly on really focusing on the Bedouin communities in Sinai and really giving them enough projects and enough chances to really prosper within Sinai. Now, do you feel that really this would be a serious step for the Bedouin communities living in Sinai to really make use of the great potential of their land?
Yeah. For the youth, yes, but for all people, no, because the pattern and the approaches is different.
Yes.
But if you have the youth between 15 and 20 years, definitely will be happy to have these opportunities.
Yes. And talking about the new cities being established there, and they have a lot of infrastructure projects, different kind of sectors, even a university there, schools there. Now, hospitals. Do you see at some point an Egyptian citizen, a Cairean, for instance, or Alexandrian, or in Upper Egypt, making an easy decision to leave their governorate, leave their city, and move to Sinai and start working on their projects there and being integrated within the peninsula?
Yeah, if there is a new facilities for investment law, definitely there's a lot of investors will go over there. And maybe as happened before in Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh, many families has been moved to the area. And as far as I know, there's a lot of people living in this area years ago. It means that you can easily decrease the inflation of Cairo or main governorates, okay? From Upper Egypt still can go directly from Ena to Hurghada or something like this, but definitely from the Delta, yes, will move.
Yes. Mr. Allam, now working on the development of Sinai, there's been a lot of talk of attracting foreign investors to invest in northern Sinai, for instance. Now, we understand the coronavirus pandemic has hit the economies worldwide hard, and multinationals, and everyone's really careful with the level of investment. So should we still rely heavily on foreign investors, or do you think, because you also mentioned the investment law, or is it also a good opportunity for Egyptian and domestic investors to try and jump on the bandwagon of developing northern Sinai?
For foreigners, definitely they have to consider a lot of measures, but the problem is with Egyptian people is they are not risk-taking by nature. Okay, so they would like to have some secured fund to do to invest on. Okay, I have an idea. Why not that we make some organization or something like this to promote the new projects, study it, making the feasibility studies, and go for it as IPO or initial public offering. Okay, so if I'm going to invest 1,000 share or something like this in this company, and I'm sure of doing what about it, okay, definitely a lot of people will go, especially that now the interest rate is going down, so it is better to invest in something more profitable.
Yes. Mr. Allam, now the Minister of Planning, Hela Said, said that the state is allocating about 275 billion Egyptian pounds for the development of Sinai and all the projects there, and to finalize them up until 2022, which is maybe in a year's time. So because we're approaching 2021 already, do you feel that in a year and a few months we can actually witness some sort of a leap in the development of Sinai, that seriously it would be not just a touristic hub but also a mega production city?
I don't think so that rapid way you can do it, because if you have a product, first you should have a market, and have the product, and the product needs the market and the pricing. There is a lot of processing, okay, to expand any market. Okay, so I don't believe that 1 year maybe we can complete the project, but to be productive and to feel the consequences of this project, I don't think so.
Yes.
Not easily.
Well, the president also reviewed the plan of the Belgian company DEMI that is responsible for securing renewable energy and energy sources for the whole of Egypt. And definitely northern Sinai and Sinai Peninsula would be a place that would require a lot of energy, a serious source of renewable energy. How far do you feel Egypt is on the track of achieving sustainable development and really going for a more environmental, greener energy, not just in Sinai, but throughout the whole country?
All the country, yeah. Yes, for sure, it is a good idea. It's nice, and especially that private people also think about it, because the electricity expenses is going high. So if you are going to use the 10 months sun in Egypt to generate electricity, or to move some water supply or something like this, definitely it will be a good project and will be covered very soon.
Yes. Well, speaking of energy, the president also was talking about really encouraging the citizens to change the use of fuel to gas in their vehicles. How far, and maybe even talking about electricity, using electrical cars, how far are we to achieving this level of sustainable energy and development?
If you look for our culture, okay, we used to use cars for traveling, to do something like this. The problem is with changing car to gas, okay, is that the gas tank is little big and almost take a major place in the back of the car. But for sure, for public buses, for minibuses, for taxis, definitely it's more profitable for them and more cheaper for them. So if we would like to look for this direction, we have to focus on public service transportation, not for the private. I don't think that private will rely on it too much.
Well, the government has already, the president also ordered the establishment of many stations, charging stations, such as the gas stations all over the country. Now, in different parts of the world, they also encourage it by offering the electrical cars much cheaper, at a discounted price. Also, the smaller the car, the lower the price. Is this a plan or a strategy that is applicable to Egypt and for the private individual, the individual consumer?
Definitely yes. Definitely yes, especially for the youth who would like the small car to move here and there, okay, and especially that the major problem of this electric car is the stations he needs to charge, okay, but if goes in this direction, definitely it will be better, okay, and it's a good opportunity. And if we make a good promotion or good conditions to buy these cars, definitely individuals and the small use will buy it.
Yes. Mr. Allam, now we're specifically focusing on Sinai and northern Sinai, but also there's a lot of developments taking place, be it in Alexandria, be it in Upper Egypt and Aswan. How far in terms of an economic reform program and working on the infrastructure and all this major developments the country is undertaking, how far are we really to achieve the sustainable development by 2030? Because it seemed like it was not enough time, but with the rate we're going, it looks feasible.
Yeah, it is visible, and the only problem is the high speed, okay? Because the people, they have to accommodate or to believe in what is going on, okay? We talk about the whole country. If we are talking about the infrastructure, it is more than excellent. It's more than reliable, okay? Definitely, if you would like to encourage investment, you would like to encourage agricultural plans or industrial plans or industrial cities, you need roads, you need good roads for transportation, so even for the raw material or the final product. Meanwhile, okay, if I saved some time on driving my car going here and there, definitely I have more energy to work in more condition or better conditions, okay? The problem is that a lot of project has been opened, so the people cannot believe what is going on. What the hell of these bridges, what the new of streets and so on, okay? And a lot of people just worry about their history in some areas, okay? Yes. What has happened with my area, it is different, it's and so on. But definitely it's good.
Yes. Well, one final question regarding the Sinai Peninsula now. What are the main treasures for Northern Sinai and Sinai in general has been the Red Sea, one of the top 3 diving destinations anywhere in the world. And tourism has been always been the main active sector there. Do you think that still there is room for improvement as well and development for the tourism sector within Northern Sinai?
Yeah, definitely we have to encourage many sports, windsurfing, whatever. There is a lot of activity. We can do it in Sinai or Red Sea, okay? But slowly, little bit slowly, because we will not recover from the COVID that easily that year.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, definitely the Sinai Peninsula and Northern Sinai in specific is undergoing major changes, has been going through major changes over the past few years, and still a lot more will be achieved over the very near future. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have to talk about it here tonight on this episode of The Daily Debate. And before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Mr. Raed Allam, the economic expert and corporate financial consultant. Mr. Allam, always a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.